everything about it really centers on this notion of a world that doesn't want its superheroes anymore, that has chosen the villains, and what is Batman's place in that world. It's a lot of fun. It literally, like, I remember pitching it to Greg, and I was telling him.
Welcome to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and today I'm going to cover the news that Batman Last Night on Earth #3 has been delayed 5 weeks. First, I'm going to read the Arama article with the details. Then I'm going to give my thoughts on how it affects me as a reader and what I think about this delay. And then Comics Aficionado's retail expert Pele is going to join me to give his thoughts on how it affects retailers and his bottom line. And there's even little bonus content at the end where we talk about some of the predatory practices of Marvel Comics. Without further ado, let's read the Arama article. DC has informed retailers that Batman Last Night on Earth #3 has been pushed back 5 weeks with a new December 18 release date. This issue, the finale of Scott Snyder and Batman's DC Black Label title, was originally scheduled to be released November 13th. Originally launched with the schedule of an issue every 2 months, this final issue is now set to come out 5 months after the previous issue. During Comic-Con International San Diego, Capullo said that he postponed work on Last Night to draw Image Comics' Spawn 300. "We could hit the original deadline, but not without risking the utmost quality that is expected from us," Capullo tweeted in response to this story. "Our team is committed to excellence." According to Snyder, the book is also adding pages, going from a solicited 48 pages to 54 pages. Batman Last Night on Earth 3 is pushed back 5 weeks because it's bigger than we expected at 54 pages and because we helped on Spawn 300, which was an honor we couldn't turn down, Snyder tweeted. "But it's coming, and it's my favorite thing we've done as the end to our Batman. Thank you so much for understanding." As a reader, I don't think this is really that big a deal. This story is out of continuity, so it's not affecting other comic books or affecting the continuity of DC Comics. I think it's awesome that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo went and worked on Spawn 300. Todd McFarlane is a legend in the industry. Breaking the record for longest running creator-owned comic book was a really big deal, and I think it's great that Snyder and Capullo were able to contribute to that. So I'm not really all that bummed. I would like to have already had the comic by now, but I can definitely wait. This isn't a big deal to me, but it could affect retailers. Now let's talk to Pele and get his perspective as a comic book retailer. And now with me is my retail expert from the Comics Aficionados, Pele. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. It's a good day. Good day. Having new comic book day tomorrow. Got the books coming in. Still haven't gotten them in. Probably around 1 or 2 o'clock like usual. And a lot of anticipation.
Absolutely, with X-Men. But today we're here to talk about Batman Last Night on Earth and the delay. I know from my perspective, I just talked about it. It doesn't really affect me. I think it's cool that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo went and worked on Spawn 300. I think that's good fan service. Greg Capullo returning to his roots. Scott Snyder really returning to his roots, doing some horror. And so I thought it was a cool idea. It was a cool opportunity for the two of them. I'm sure they broke. Scott Snyder grew up, reading Spawn and thinking highly of Todd McFarlane. So it was a great opportunity for him. But it did result in a delay. And you're not only a retailer, but you're a comic book reader. You're a comic book fan. What did you think about the 5-week delay for Batman Last Night on Earth?
I don't think it's. I think it's going to piss maybe a couple people off, make them a little angry. But overall, I don't think it's really going to hurt sales very much. It's probably, if anything, it may, gin up a little bit more interest as people, a lot of people haven't even heard of it yet. We're getting more and more new customers into the store each day, and, gives them more time to kind of read what's available out there and maybe even bring more people into the series before it ultimately ends. So, I don't think it's going to really affect things all that much negatively.
Mm-hmm. So as you as a retailer, does this affect your bottom line? Had you already paid for your copies, or were you just pre-ordered?
No. Just a pre-order on this. I usually pay, when they ship.
Mm-hmm.
Typically there's sometimes with pre-orders, if it's special circumstances, there's you actually prepay well in advance if it's a special situation. But and probably some big, larger retailers and small distributors probably have to pay to, up front well before. But there's even some stores that do COD still. They
Oh,
just,
yeah?
they get a certified check or something like that from the bank, and they have to pay UPS when they arrive. So, it's still it's still largely a cash world out there. So,
coming up to this, what were the sales like, for the first two issues? This is something that's really hit big, because I've been really interested. It looked like it hit big, with it being an out of continuity kind of Elseworld story.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's probably, for me, it's been the biggest Elseworlds series, probably right there up with Batman Damned. I mean, Batman Damned was an incredible success for us. It sold, if I'd had three times as many number ones, I would have been able to sell them, largely because of, the extension on Batman's utility belt.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, but yeah, it's sold really well, and people really accepted it, and it's a little surprising considering kind of how out there it is. But I think that comic readership's kind of evolved and become a little bit more eclectic, and people are willing to accept a little bit more interesting, different storytelling, and as they got to read the number one and some of the the premise in it, and they really liked it. And I mean, what's not to like about Joker's head in a bucket?
Mm-hmm.
And Batman wandering around with it, and crazy zombie people with Green Lantern rings. That's not bad.
It's a lot of fun.
Pretty wild. That's a lot of fun. So and although it's kind of gotten to be quite a bit of a trope, as far as the dystopian futures and stuff like that ideas. But this one kind of has an interesting perspective to it. Comes at it from a different angle, and people liked it. People really enjoyed it, and there's been a lot of anticipation. So and I don't think that anticipation is really going to wane that much over a month and a half, 5 weeks, month and a half delay on that. But I mean, ultimately I like to have had it, but I don't, and I think people will wait, and they kind of appreciate that, NDC kind of got out in front of this a little bit, saying, hey, we don't want the quality of this one to suffer. There was some other stuff going on, as far as Capullo and Spawn 300 and all that kind of stuff. And, he's like, I don't want my work to suffer because, I've got this other project going on. So we just kind of put this back a little bit, and, that way I can give my full attention and make a better quality product. And people appreciate that. They'll understand that, they'd rather wait just a little bit and get something that's superior to something that looks rushed.
All right, so no one showed up at your shop with pitchforks saying my Batman Last Night on Earth is going to be delayed 5 weeks, and it's your fault. Nothing like that. People are understanding so far.
Not yet. No bricks to the windows or anything yet. Funny about that. Doomsday Clock maybe. Yeah. Doomsday
that
Clock,
one's in continuity, so it kind of is supposed to have effects.
Wow, that you talk about some anger on that. That's been nasty. I think that if that had come out timed the way it should have come out, it probably would have sold 2 or 3 times more than it did. It still sold well.
So you think it could have got up into the 200,000 issues shipped without any predatory marketing practices?
Yeah, it could have easily been 250,000, 300,000.
Wow.
I mean, they did a pretty even split on those with the normal cover and that variant cover, but combined together with them, it probably would have been 250 to 300 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Print runs on those, maybe more. If as it picked up steam, but every time an issue would come out, they'd pick up a little bit of steam, and then you'd wait 3 months, 4 months. It's not any way to run a business. So, all
right, before I let you go, I got one more bonus question. We're talking about predatory practices. Geez. I have a retailer right here. We know Marvel does these things where they They tied number ones and special issues to party variants and variant covers from other comics that aren't even associated. Does DC do that practice? Because this seems like a book that they could use to elevate the sales of some of their lower selling books, like, you know, Flash. I'm sure they could use a boost on that, or Aquaman. Does DC go into that at all?
That doesn't seem to be. I mean, sometimes there's connecting situations, you know, as far as this, like you had with the JLA special covers, that triptych cover. I think it was around issue 22, or was it 21 or 22?
I believe it was 22.
But you had to order like, you know, if you're going to get this, you had to order this many other copies of it, just so you could get that. And it was beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I still sell those sets, you know, for like $30, you know, for all three of them. And, you know, it rarely, there might be a kind of a catch like that. It's nothing like Marvel though. Marvel are the kings of, you know, crushing your wallet and your hopes and dreams along with it. You know, if you want to get that, if you want to get the really awesome covers, you're gonna have to jump through some hoops, like the X-Men this week. You know, there were hoops you had to jump through if you wanted to get some of the really interesting connecting covers. You wanted to get some of the, you know, oh well, you've got to order this. You got to order this many of New Mutants, Marauders, stuff like that. You know, so you can get the connectors for those along with X-Men #1, and you know, and it's like, oh, really? But
it was interesting when I did my my last month's comic sales numbers. We could see that special variant schemes and party cover ordering schemes raised the sales on Amazing Spider-Man and Immortal Hulk in between 10 and 30%.
Yeah,
it was like in between 10 and 30,000 issues, or it was about 10 and 25,000 issues, depending on.
Kind of disconcerting too, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's a big jump.
Yeah, it really worries me because, you know, it's how much I've kind of told people. I've kind of poo-pooed the idea. You know, everybody's like going, "Oh, it's like the '90s," you know, and everything's going to crash, you know, and we're all going to lose our shirts because everybody's going to be sorry. There's dogs playing. She's got the dogs out in the pen outside the house, but no, it's, you know, we're gonna lose our shirts. You know, it's going to be a crash like in the '90s, and you know, we're not, you know, it's not 1 million, 2 million issue, you know, copies per issue and stuff like that. You know, it's not that situation. You know, this is a different comic buying customer base. You know, it's a different comic buyers now than there was then. I think they're a little bit more informed, and you know, I still don't think it's a great thing. I wish that they didn't lean so heavily on, you know, on all the incentive covers and, you know, variant covers, but there's still a market for them. That, speaking of X-Men again, gosh, people love those variant covers of those, and it's beautiful. Some of those are just absolutely, the one with Jean Grey.
Absolutely.
Oh man. You know, I'd probably, if I got 50 copies of that, I'd sell all 50 of them.
Yeah. I think it's the Art Germ Virgin on that one was just spectacular.
Jaw dropping. You know, I'm going to have that for my personal collection.
I bet you are.
You know, there's a lot of different incentives from X-Men #1 are going to be in the personal collection, because it's just some of the best. You know, that one, especially that one team shot, you know, where they're kind of staring forward, you know, it kind of looks like, but anyway, there's a lot of really beautiful incentives, and as long as they're, you know, as long as people are there's the demand is there, and it doesn't really feel like it's forced, that's fine. But when it is forced, you know, it leaves a bad taste in retailers' mouth, and it's going to come back to haunt Marvel.
Awesome.
You know, as people. Go ahead.
Well, Pele, thank you so much for joining me today, giving us an update and your perspective as a reader and as a retailer on the delay on Batman Last Night on Earth, and a little bit of bonus coverage on some of those predatory practices that Marvel goes into, but not DC so much. So that's good to hear. Thank you so much for joining me. And if people want to follow you, where can they follow you on social media?
You can find me at Twitter at just_Pele and Instagram also by the same just_Pele. And I on Instagram is pretty cool because I post up new acquisitions from my personal collection as well as some comics that come into the shop. And I post them up. We talk about them and have a lot of fun. And if you have any questions about comic grading or comic values or anything like that, that tends to be my niche. The collecting, from the collecting perspective as well as the financial economics perspective, that's what I do. So
awesome. Thank you so much, brother. And I will talk to you later.
All right. Peace, man. You be good.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.